What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Vault, where today we're going to count down 20 crazy facts about the 2004 sports classic Miracle. We'll talk about how Disney searched through thousands of real hockey players to build the cast, why Kurt Russell transformed himself completely to play Herb Brooks, and how some of the movie's most emotional moments weren't even in the script. Plus, we'll discuss the heartbreaking real-life tragedy connected to the movie. But before we hit the ice, be sure to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes movie facts and countdowns like this one. Now, let's get into it. Number 20. Director Gavin O'Connor had always wanted Kurt Russell for the role of Herb Brooks, but the casting process would be far from simple. According to Herb Brooks' son, Tom Hanks was at the top of the list. Producers later revealed another big name, Michael Douglas, was also being seriously considered. Both Hanks and Douglas were already well known for their award-winning dramatic roles, so the producers had plenty of star power to choose from. At that time, Kurt Russell was famous for his action-packed roles in films like Escape from New York and Big Trouble in Little China, and not so much for dramatic performance. Some people may have doubted whether he was correct for the role, but when he met the real Herb Brooks, that's when everything changed. The producers said that after Kurt had met with Herb, they knew that he was the guy.
You want me to play, huh? Is that what you want?
I want you to be a hockey player!
I am a hockey player! You want me to play on one leg? Huh? I'll play on one leg!
That'll get him going.
Get up!
Oh, yeah.
Will that make you happy?
Number 19. Gavin O'Connor had one golden rule when he casted for Miracle. He wasn't going to cast any actors and then teach them how to skate, but instead he believed it was much easier to teach hockey players how to act. And so Disney began a massive search to find the perfect players for the movie. They held on-ice tryouts all over: New York, Boston, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Toronto, and Vancouver. The cinematographer Dan Stoloff shared how serious that they were, saying that Disney had a nationwide casting search, and first they had to be hockey players, and then they had to be able to act. They went through 4,000 applicants and whittled them down to about 200. Then for the Soviet and European teams, a tryout would be held in Vancouver that brought an unbelievable crowd. Todd Harkin shared that over 8,000 people lined up around the hotel, all hoping to be part of the audition. Most hockey movies use quick cuts, so you never actually see the actors playing on the ice, but for Miracle, they wanted there to be no question at all. Number 18. Patrick O'Brien Dempsey played Mike Corleone, but he wasn't always an actor. At the time, he was an intern at an advertising agency with a graphic design background from Fitchburg State and was unsure about what he wanted to do with his life. One day, he was searching around online for acting schools, thinking about trying something new, and that's when he saw a casting call in Boston for hockey players. The problem was, the auditions were ending the next day, and even though he had never acted before, he decided to take a chance. Patrick had played hockey all through college at Fitchburg and had been forced to quit because of injury, so he then brought his skills to the audition. He had to audition 6 or 7 times before getting the role. Gavin O'Connor was not looking for trained actors, but instead wanted real hockey players who could act naturally. Patrick's hockey talents, his strong Boston accent, and even his resemblance to the real Mike Corleone had made him perfect for the part. Miracle became his first acting role, where he delivered the famous line, "I play for the United States of America."
Who do you play for?
Play for the United States of America.
Number 17. The role of Ralph Cox almost didn't go to Kenneth Mitchell. Originally, he had tried out for the part of Jim Craig, the team star goalie, and with his background as a former goalie, he impressed everyone during his on-ice tryouts. However, Eddie Cahill, who may not have been the strongest hockey player, had one big advantage. He looked just like the real Jim Craig, and because of that, he won the role, and Mitchell got the disappointing news that he didn't make it. Gavin O'Connor did notice something special about Mitchell, though, and did not want him to leave the movie, so instead, O'Connor decided to expand the role of Ralph Cox so that Mitchell could stay on as part of the project. They even rewrote the script to give Ralphie more emotion and a bigger part in the story, and one of the most emotional scenes in the film comes when Ralph Cox is cut from the team right before the Olympics. Mitchell had even once said that that's how Ralphie Cox had blossomed.
Thanks for giving me a shot, Coach.
Thanks for giving me your very best.
Number 16. During the on-ice tryouts for the movie, Michael Mannuto thought that he had ruined everything because he got into a real fight with another player, a kid from Harvard who was taunting the other actors. Mannuto was a former hockey player from the University of Maine and just couldn't stand it, and so he stepped in to defend the players and ended up throwing punches in front of the director. At first, he was certain he had blown his chance and then rushed in to apologize, thinking that it was all over. But surprisingly, the fight is what actually helped him to win the role of Jack O'Callahan. O'Connor didn't see a problem and instead saw the perfect attitude for the character. He told Mannuto after the fight that it was good and eventually revealed that he had earned the role. Even the other cast members like Dempsey later agreed it was the right decision, saying that Michael was perfect as O'Callahan. Dempsey described him as a confident, handsome, and skilled hockey player, full of the fiery spirit that the part demanded. Mannuto tragically passed away in 2017 at the age of 35 years old.
That's it.
Well, how about it, boys?
Number 15. Eddie Cahill looked exactly like Jim Craig, but there was one problem. He couldn't actually play goalie at the level that was needed for the movie. At first, the production team hired a junior B goalie from Vancouver, but it became clear that he wasn't the right fit. And so that's when an idea was brought up to suggest that they bring in Bill Ranford. Ranford had been a former NHL goalie and won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the MVP of the 1990 Stanley Cup playoffs. At first, Ranford didn't want to join because of the time commitment, but later agreed to help out with the second half of filming. He told the Hockey News that they filmed the main Jim Craig action scenes and asked if he would be interested in getting involved in the latter part, and that's when he joined the crew. Ranford's skill had made a huge difference. Most of the incredible saves seen during the Soviet game on screen were him in action.
Pick it up! Up the boards and into the corner. Makarov for a quick shot. Another big save by Jim Craig. Makarov with a left hand. Craig gets his stick on it.
Number 14. In the Soviet game scene, Valery Karmelov crashes into Jim Craig, knocking him over. And to get it just right, the crew had to film it nearly 20 times. On the final take, something went wrong, and the hit was mistimed. Harkin's knee would slam into Ranford's temple. It was a brutal impact, and Ranford later told the Hockey News that after Harkin's knee collided with his head, he actually ended up with a concussion, which wasn't much fun. This was no ordinary concussion. Ranford said it was the worst of his career, and he didn't stop. He was back on the ice the very next day, even though there were only a few days of filming left. Harkins would later admit how tough it was, but he stood by the decision because they wanted to make a movie as real as they could, and added that Ranford's performance was outstanding.
Crossing center right. Makarov around Morrow. Backhand, he scores.
Number 13. In the famous bag skate scene, Brooks pushes the team to their breaking point. For 3 long days, the actors skated Herbies over and over, with each day lasting 12 hours. They were pushed so hard that some of the actors collapsed. The exhaustion was real, and so were some of the moments caught on camera, even the puking. But the longest day of all came on the 3rd day, where Gavin O'Connor took Patrick O'Brien Dempsey aside and then made him skate alone, back and forth, over and over, with the cameras focused only on him. There were no instructions, just endless skating. Kenneth Mitchell remembered the moment clearly, saying that one guy just started skating with him, and then another joined, and another, until the entire cast was skating together. None of them were told to, and the cameras weren't even pointed at them, but they joined anyway, supporting their teammate. The raw moment of brotherhood gave Dempsey the energy he needed to deliver his line and made the scene unforgettable.
Again. How about it, Silky? You gonna be the first one to quit on me?
Number 12. The pregame locker room speech was not written from a script or even old recordings. It's because nobody recorded Herb Brooks' actual speech in 1980. To recreate that scene, filmmakers had to rely on memories of players who were actually there. Jack O'Callahan had played a big role in piecing it back together, even though he didn't play in the famous USA-Soviet game due to an injury. He would use his own recollections to help build the moment that everyone sees in the film. O'Callahan himself admitted that the speech wasn't a perfect match to what Brooks said, explaining that there were some things that were probably what he had said, and some things that were O'Callahan putting his own words in there based on memories. Other players like Dave Silk and Micah Rioni had backed him up.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
Number 11. The U.S. hockey team had just pulled off a historic win against the Soviet Union, and 2 days later they had to face Finland in the fight for the gold medal. At the end of the second period, they were losing 2-1, and that's when Coach Herb Brooks gave a different kind of speech, saying that if you lose this game, you'll take it to your fucking graves, and then he walked out. After this, the U.S. team came back stronger than anyone expected and scored 3 goals in the third period, turning the game around to win 4-2. They took home the gold medal, completing one of the greatest sports stories of all time. But the crazy part is, Disney left this powerful speech out of the movie, saying that they couldn't include it because of the F-bomb. So instead, the movie gave a polished and inspiring version of Brooks' speech. Coach Lance Loya would later say that Brooks' shorter, less eloquent, lesser-known final speech offers an insightful glimpse into what haunts good teammates: regret. Number 10. Kurt Russell went to incredible lengths to become Herb Brooks. He's naturally right-handed, but Brooks was left-handed, so to capture Brooks perfectly, Russell switched his dominant hand throughout the movie. From holding clipboards and chalk to writing with a pen, Russell had used his left hand for everything and met Brooks twice before filming to study him closely. Dan Stoloff had praised Russell's attention to detail and said that it also helped to guide the young actors in their performance, saying that Kurt Russell was an amazing coach to the kids because he coached their acting as well, and you feel it in the team in the movie. The dedication had made everything feel authentic. Number 9. Of course, the movie had a lot of long hours, and Kurt Russell made a decision that would change everything for the extras. He voluntarily took a pay cut so that they could have hot meals instead of the simple brown bag lunches that were provided. Off camera, he and the actors playing Team USA had stayed in character, using their names and nicknames when interacting with each other, and it was all about creating a believable atmosphere for the iconic story. Number 8. Just like Herb Brooks had pushed the 1980 team to greatness, Russell did the same thing for the young and inexperienced actors on the set. Between scenes, he would guide them, helping them to improve their skills while keeping the energy high. Dan Stoloff had once said that Russell was an amazing coach because he coached their acting too. Russell's constant drive turned the filming into an amazing experience for the cast. He had refused to call them by their real names, and to him, they were all the hockey players from the USA team. Staying in character would be the rule, and soon the entire cast would follow the lead. This approach made them feel like an actual team before the cameras even began rolling. Patrick O'Brien Dempsey recalled meeting Russell the first time and said that he was introduced to Kurt, but he kept his distance at first. It wouldn't be long before they shot their very first scene.
You guys are playing like this is some throwaway game up in Rochester. Who we playing, Rammer?
Sweden.
Yeah, you're damn right, Sweden! In the Olympics!
Number 7. During a lunch break, Stoloff had decided to skate laps around the freshly cleaned rink, but something went wrong where his skate caught a rough patch that the Zamboni had missed. He fell down hard, striking his head on the ice, and when he woke up, he was lying in a puddle of his own blood. He would then be rushed to the hospital where doctors put 14 stitches in his head. Most would call it a day, but not Stoloff. He was back on set in just 45 minutes, and when he returned, players on set were shocked. He had a big bandage on his head, but carried on as though nothing had happened. He later told the Hockey News that he got knocked out, woke up in his blood, and then was rushed to the hospital for 14 stitches and came back. The moment had earned him the respect of all the hockey players that were there. Number 6. Ryan Walter played 15 seasons in the NHL for teams like the Capitals, the Canadiens, and the Canucks, and was hired 3 months before filming as the hockey technical advisor. It meant that he had to design and bring to life over 100 choreographed hockey plays, and he did it all on his computer right at center ice. He became Kurt Russell's on-ice stand-in, making sure that every scene looked natural. Gavin O'Connor wanted to thank him for his hard work, and so he gave Ryan a part in the film, and he became the referee for the U.S.-Soviet game. Ryan ended up having 4 lines. They weren't very hard, he would joke in an interview with the Hockey News, but those lines did matter, and his presence made the scenes feel authentic, just like a real hockey game. Number 5. Sasha Lakovich, a former NHL enforcer, played Soviet captain Boris Mikhailov in the movie. He got the role because he looked the most Russian out of everyone during casting, and on set he stayed in character the entire time, walking around like a real captain. He was proud to wear the K on his jersey, which stood for the Soviet team's captain insignia, and Todd Harkins, who had played Karmelov, decided to have some fun. One day he showed up on the ice with a K sewn onto his own jersey. Sasha noticed right away and skated over asking what it was about. Todd jokingly told him that he had been demoted, and everybody laughed at Sasha. Disney had made sure the Soviet jerseys were authentic like they were in the 1980 Winter Olympics. Sasha had been remembered for his humor and toughness both on and off the ice, but sadly passed away in 2017 at the age of 45 from brain cancer. His role as the Soviet captain stands as a key part of the success of Miracle. Number 4. Todd Harkins left hockey behind in 2001. He was a former pro who had played 48 NHL games over 11 years and quit for heartbreaking reasons. His 5-year-old son Nicholas had been diagnosed with a rare and fatal enzyme disorder. Doctors told him that Nicholas wouldn't live past the age of 10, and so Harkins had moved back to Vancouver to be with his family. Instead of blaming the illness, he blamed the game of hockey and was bitter towards it. Hockey seemed to be a closed chapter, but then fate had other plans. One day, his wife Kirsten saw an open casting call for the movie Miracle in a newspaper. She cut it out and left it on his dinner plate. Todd crumpled it up and threw it away. A few days later, he changed his mind and decided to audition, but that's not the best part. Director Gavin O'Connor heard about Nicholas and invited the entire family to the set. Nicholas was 6 years old and skated in a Karmelov jersey and even scored a goal. The crew would then raise $5,000 for the Canadian MS Society, which Disney had donated, and after the movie's release, a new treatment became available in Canada. Nicholas started treatment at age 8, and by 2020 he was 24 years old, in college, and still receiving the treatments. Number 3. The "Do you believe in miracles, yes" moment is one of the most unforgettable calls in sports history. Al Michaels, the man who called the 1980 Olympic game live for ABC, was part of the film project and agreed to recreate most of his famous play-by-play, but only if he could keep it close to what he originally said. He recorded a lot of the parts again in a studio, but for the last 10 seconds of the game, things were different. Gavin O'Connor did not ask Al Michaels to recreate his incredible line because no one could match the raw emotion that had been captured in the moment. Instead, they used the actual broadcast audio from February 22nd of 1980. The sound had been cleaned up and restored, and that let the real magic of the night shine through.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
Number 2. During principal photography, Herb Brooks served as a consultant on the film, and one memorable day was during the Vancouver shoot when the cast was introduced as the 1980 team. Dempsey had called himself Rusty, and Herb smiled and replied, "You must be a Rioni then," because he was always a little rusty. But even though he knew the film was being made, he never actually got to see it. On August 11th of 2003, 6 days after his 66th birthday, tragedy would strike. Herb was driving home after a Hall of Fame charity golf event in Minnesota and fell asleep at the wheel. His minivan rolled off of I-35 near Forest Lake north of the Twin Cities. He would not be wearing a seatbelt, and according to the Minnesota State Patrol, the truth is that he likely would have survived if he did. 6 months later, the movie would be released with a dedication at the start, reading that the film was dedicated to the memory of Herb Brooks, who died shortly following principal photography. He never saw it, he lived it. Herb would later be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2006, reminding the world of his enduring impact. Number 1. Before the filming had even began, the team had used toy hockey figures and a small camera to storyboard every single scene. Ryan Walter, the technical advisor, animated the plays on his computer, and after that, the cast would practice the moves on ice for weeks to make sure that everything looked perfect. They kept doing it until they got it right, and if there was one person in the background not skating at 110%, they had to do it all over again. The entire process would become so detailed that it felt like the precision of action scenes in a Christopher Nolan film. To make it all happen, filmmakers brought in Real Sports Solutions, a team that was known for sports choreography in movies like The Rookie. The cast had made up mostly of real hockey players, trained for 6 to 8 hours a day for 6 weeks before filming even began. They continued to train for 4 more months while filming was underway. A special camera called a sled cam would be used to capture action shots from the player's perspective, making the scenes feel authentic and exciting. Routines were so real they were based on plays from the 1980 Olympics to ensure that every moment felt true to history. Now smash that like button because I know you love this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you always know when we upload another video like this one. If you have any recommendations, feel free to let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.